Welcome to part 2 of my series Korg Volca Modular Complete. Part 1 was all about the sources module, the functions module, the dual LPG, and the space out. Today I'm talking about the sequencer and the keyboard functions of the module. Part 3 is going to demonstrate and explain the module's Woggle, split, utility and sequences, the latter meaning the different ways of integrating the sequencer in a patch. In part 4, it's all about patching. I introduce some basic and generally important patching rules as well as the underlying voltages and their meaning for our patching activities, followed by showing and explaining a bunch of basic patches. Part 5 may well be called the Patch University, as I introduce and analyze more than only a couple of quite advanced patching techniques with the Volca Modular. In part 6, I show you how to integrate the Volca Modular in the Eurorack world, and I really mean integrate, not just using it parallel with your Eurorack setup. The matter of alternative power supplies, not only for one Volca and not only for Volcas at all, finishes this series. On one hand, I have to make my living from producing things like this here, and on the other hand, I want you all to make profit from what I had to learn on my own. That's a dilemma. I try to solve it like this. All 6 parts are produced, they are finished, but I'll upload them one after the other, waiting always 3 weeks before I'll publish the next one. And if you'd like to get them all now and at once and support my work, please donate $9. The donate link is down in the descriptions. I'll send you the download links to all 6 parts then. Thank you for supporting my work. And now let's dive into today's matter, the sequencer and the keyboard functions. If you already own any Volca, you'll meet a lot of old friends between the following functions, but there are some newcomers too, which are only on board of the Volca Modular. Like usual, the Volca Modular can store up to 16 different sequences, each of which can be reached by holding the memory button and touching one of these 16 step buttons. Now I have activated the sequence which is stored at memory place, memory storage number 1. To play the sequence, of course, I have to hit or touch the play button. What else? Okay. Or another one, memory 2. Or let's say memory 4. And so on. I choose memory location 16, holding memory, touching 16, to record the sequence. To arm the device, I simply press the record button, which starts blinking here. I hope you can see it in the video. And pressing play starts recording my virtuosic actions here on the keyboard. So let's try something. You see the LED is walking, showing at which step of the 16 steps of the sequence the pointer is showing, and at which step my actual action is recorded. Let's try to hit the key in time, the keys in time to record a little bit. And you see, it's not that what I've played. I personally, I'm really not a player. I'm a composer and sound designer and a little bit kind of a teacher, as you see and hear. But I find it terribly hard to hit the keys in time only looking at this blinking light. I'm used to playing with metronomes to get an acoustic sonic signal or response when I have to hit a key. But there is another method which I prefer more. So let's stop the recording now and just playing back. Okay, it's not really that what I've played. With a little bit of exercising, you will be able to play 60 notes at the right time, you're looking only at this blinking light. All right. To delete the sequence completely, let's start the playback. Yeah, okay, it's enough. To delete this sequence completely, I hold the function button here and press this step number 16, or touch the step number 16. So function and step number 16, and it's cleared. Let me press play to control it. Yeah, the sequence is fortunately gone. You will have discovered it by now. The real problem is the missing metronome. Well, and the strangely colored keyboard isn't helpful either. The black keys are white and the white keys are red. Should be a visual whiff of West Coast, I think. But anyway, back to the missing metronome. There are some ways how to fill this gap and to make live recording sequence easier. Let me demonstrate them. First way is to pre-record all 16 steps with a certain note, preferable the bass note of the scale you are going to play your sequence in. Oh, sorry. For example, are you going to play in C major or C minor or any other kind of scale based on the note C? Then simply record 16 Cs. These are going to be your metronome, and because everything that you record later will override the content of a step, the pre-recorded Cs will be consecutively substituted by your sequence. Okay, let me show what I mean. And let's say C, I talked about C, so without looking that much on these LEDs, I just hit rapidly the key C. And yes, all 16 steps are full of C. And now I have a kind of metronome, and I hope it's easier. Let me put on some more light. Yeah, that is indeed better. So let's say okay. And a little bit more. All right, okay. So it's easier, but it's not that elegant. If you feel disturbed by our bass note metronome, here, you can use another method. It's not that elegant either, and you have to know very well what you are going to record later, because you not only that you don't hear a tonal signal from the, let's say, metronome. You don't even hear tonal signals from touching the keyboard. Well, I use the gate out of the sequencer and patch it to the input of the space unit, bridging all tonal modules this way. So let's listen to it a little bit. Okay, that's okay. And now I can record without hearing what I'm recording. So hit the record button. Okay, let's listen to it. Okay. The next method is a little bit more elegant. If you are the proud owner of another Volca synth, for example here this Volca FM, you can use the most comfortable method to metronome your recording. You use your second Volca here, the FM, in my example, as a metronome. You can adjust even the sound of the metronome clock to sorry, yeah, I need to drink something. Sorry, to a suitable one. To do so, I connect the sync out of the Volca Modular with the sync in of here my Volca FM. Put the cable a little bit out of the way. Start the sequencer of the Volca FM and the sequencer of the Volca Modular. And as you see, when I change the clock on the modular, the sequencer sound changes as well. Not the sound, but the sequencer clock. So the Volca Modular is the boss and the Volca FM is the servant. Okay, and now I can start recording with the sound of the sequencer. I like this. I could change it, something like that, but I like this deep bass sound. So let's start. Yeah. The last was not good. All right. Let me mention, just for the sake of completeness, that the recording begins at that step, which is active and whose LED is lit up when you hit the record button while playback is on. So I have playback on. So I delete the sequence. So playback is on. The FM sequencer is not running here, so you don't hear even the metronome. We don't need it right now. Yeah, under consideration of all the before said, this is not that much of practical importance, I think, but good to know anyway. So now let me put on the sequencer of the FM and when I hit the record button, for example, here at the G, it's key 11, then I can start at once recording here, which is not that easy. Oh yeah, it worked out. Okay, once again another one to make clear what I mean. So here the walking LED shows the active steps, And when I want to start, for example, at step 8, I don't know why I should. Oh yeah, okay, more or less okay. Yeah, that's it. As I told you, just for the sake of completeness. Let's switch it off. An easier way to record a sequence is step recording. To enter the step record mode, hold the function button and press record. The function button, so at first delete what is in the memory. So the function button and hit record. Record blinks. Step recording means you can type in the sonic content of each step without a nervous clock driving you from step to step. And the LED here points out which step you are to record. And as long as you don't do anything, the sequencer will wait for you at this step until you'll have touched the keyboard. And then the sequencer jumps to the next step and waits until you touch another note. So let's start. So first note should be a C. And you see, the sequencer jumps to the next step. And then I want a G. And then once again the next step, and a C again, and an F, and a C again, and let's say a D sharp. I can't see here. And the rest empty. So let's listen to it. And exit the record mode. Yeah. A little bit of different sound. A little bit of reverb. Okay, nice. Adding a silent step is easy too. Let me enter the step record mode. Both are blinking. When the LED indicates here, the LED indicates the step which you want to be silent, just press the record button and the sequencer will jump to the next step. Let me do so. Let me say, and then one silent step, look here. Yeah. And the next. And again, one silent step. Ah, shit. Nah. Once again, it should be nicer. Okay, let's delete it. Tak. I'm really irritated by this colors on the keyboard here. I can't help. Once again, a silent step. Two silent steps. And once again, one. And then the beginning again. So let's listen to it. Yeah, a little bit of reverb, a little bit of room. Okay. If you want a few consecutive steps to be silent, there is perhaps a better way, or well, it's just a different way. It's using the arrow button here, the play button here. So let me at first delete what is in the memory here. Start the key step, the step recording mode, and just play something. Now I'm here, and I want a lot of steps be silent, so I push the play button. You see, skipped, 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 skipped. Oh, I have not erased everything. So once again, let me erase. Okay, step record mode, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 steps free, and then that's it. And let's control. Yeah. All right. So I remove everything from the memory here, enter step recording mode. What I want to show you is that you can delete a recorded step or a step which is being recorded as long as you have not lifted your finger off the keyboard by just pressing the record button. This step is not recorded then, and the sequencer jumps to the next step. You have silent then at this place. Let me show you. Let me say. And here I want silent, but I hit and but I leave my finger here, press the record button, and oh, I have pressed it twice. Okay. You will see this step is not recorded. Let's listen to it at first. And number 4 is 5 and so on are empty. Let me do it again. Erasing everything. Step record mode. 1, 2, 3, and 4 should be silent, but I touch it. Oh. And then. All right. Let's listen to it. Yeah. 4 is empty. Yeah. Okay. Let me start with recording a new sequence. At first I delete everything. Oh, sorry. At first I switch the machine on, of course. And now I delete what is in the memory. Yeah, nothing in there. And now I go to step mode, function and step mode. And my sequence is just contains just the first 4 red notes, which indeed are white notes, white keys in a normal key on a normal keyboard. Let's listen to it. Yeah, it worked out. And now I want to save it. To do so, I press and hold the function button, press the memory button, which starts blinking again. I can leave alone the function button now, and I choose one of these keys, one of these memory locations. I say, let's say location number 10 to store it. All right, let's prove it. Switching the machine off. Switching the machine off. Yeah, and on again. Choosing memory location 10, play. Great. All right. So what if I wanted to add some notes to this sequence now? Well, I enter step recording mode again. And now take care. I use the play button to skip to the next free position. And now I can add the next one. The next few steps. Okay, let's stop the recording function. I could, of course, replace certain steps of my old sequence this way by using the play button, going to the note which has to be replaced and replace it. But let's at first listen to what I have now. Yeah. All right. And I want to save it again, but now I want to save it to another. I could save it to the same location and overwrite my old sequence this way, or, which I'm going to do now, save it to the next to location number 11. I could choose any other one, of course, but I choose 11. Sorry. Yeah. I want to save it at 11. Let's control. Okay, and now let's go to 10. All right. A sequence can have up to 16 steps, right? No. It can have up to 256 steps, 16 times 16, because I can chain some or all of these 16 memory locations to one super huge monster sequence. To do so, well, no, at first I'll demonstrate this. I activate location number 10. Let's listen to it. Yeah, we know it. Let's activate number 11 and listen. Yeah, we should know it as well. And last but not least, let's activate number 12 and listen. And now I want to chain these three sequences to one huge sequence. Huge, okay. I do so by holding memory, pressing and holding memory, and then finger acrobatic, laying my fingers on the first and the last of the sequences which I want to chain. And you see all three LEDs are lit. And well, let's listen. Yes, it has worked. All right, there's no way to skip a sequence. I cannot skip sequence 11, for example, and if I want sequence 10 to be followed by sequence 12 instead of sequence 11, I have to copy memory location 12 into location 11, but I would lose the primary content of location 11. I'll tell you in a minute how to copy sequences from one location to another, but there is another way to make the machine skip sequence 11 here. Skip it, but for one single step. I can go to memory location 11, what I do now. Let's control. Yeah, all right. And I now deactivate all steps but for one. I have to leave one step activated. To do so, I press and hold function plus active step. Both are blinking, and then I can deactivate one step after the other. But for the last one does not necessarily be 16, for example, can activate 7, deactivate 16, but one step has to be activated. I leave activate step 16 activated, leave active step mode, and of course then I save this very end of the patch back to memory location 11. But I have not lost my sequence because I can reactivate the step later, even if now I have stored the deactivated version in memory location 11. The recorded sequence and the active step mode are stored differently, and I can change it. But you will see later. Let me at first be sure that there is nothing to be heard in sequence 11 now, but for one step silent. Yeah, only this step is always repeated and there isn't anything. So now I chain 10 sequences 10 to 12 again. Yeah, all three are lit. and I should not hear 11, sequence 11, but for one step silence. So let's control it. Sequence 10 and sequence 12. With one step more of silence coming from sequence 11. All right. Now I go back to location 11. Only 16, step 16 is activated, and I and I activate all steps again. Function active step. It doesn't work. What's wrong? What have I done wrong? Once again, Mary. 11. Okay. And function active step. Yeah, no, I have not pushed them hard enough. And so I can activate all steps. Yeah, they are. And let's try. Yeah, here they are again. Okay, let me just show you this deactivating and activating thing again to make sure you got it. I switch to memory location 1. Yeah. Okay. And fill each of the 16 steps is filled with nodes, with another node. And I know I deactivate some steps, pressing function, holding, and pressing active step. So for example, I leave the first, but not the second. The third I leave, then active. 4 and 5 I deactivate. 6 and 7, let's leave it active. Then 8, 9, 10, 11 I deactivate. 12, okay. 13 deactivate, 14 deactivate, and 16 deactivate. So let's listen. All right. Later in this video, I show you how to randomize the active, deactive, activation, deactivation status. Now I save. So to sequence 1 and switch the machine off, switch the machine on again. Go to location 1, and it's in the deactivated version. But now I go back to the mode of activating and deactivating steps, so function and active step mode. And now I can reactivate all these steps, or few of them. Have I forgotten any? No. And as you hear, the nodes, which were primarily in this stored in these deactivated places of the sequence, locations of the sequence, they are still there. But now for copying a sequence into another memory location, well, that's easy. I go to be sure that I'm there. Oh no, I can. No, I want to go to sequence number 1. Yes, okay. Reactivated steps all. And I want to have this sequence number 1 in memory location number 3, so I store it simply. Function write number 3, and it should be here as well. Memory 1, memory 3, and so on, and so on. So my sequence number 1 is now at 2 different memory locations, location 1 and location 3. Why would you want one of your sequences to be present at different locations? Well, think of chaining sequences. You might want to have the same sequence more than only once in the chain sometime. And as I don't want you to fall asleep, I have already recorded three little sequences. Let's play sequence number one, memory number one. This is this one. And so on and so on. Sequence number two. And so on. And sequence number three is at memory location number four. Okay. And I have copied sequence number one to memory location number three, and sequence number two to memory location number five. So we hear sequence one, sequence one, sequence two, sequence one again, sequence three, and then sequence two again. So let's listen to it. At first, of course, I have to chain sequences 1 up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 LEDs are lit. So let's listen to it. Back to number one. Okay. If you want to get rid of everything what you have created and stored and want the factory defaults back instead, then switch the Volca Modular off. I have done it already. Press and hold the function button and the memory button and switch the machine on again. Now both both other buttons are blinking, the record button as well as the play button. And now comes your final choice. If you play the record button, everything what you have stored is gone, definitely, and the factory presets are back. But if you say, no, I don't want, in the last moment, you redecide, you make up your mind, then you play, you press the play button and everything is okay. But I want to reset everything to default, to factory defaults. I press the record button, and let me, for example, let's go to place number one, memory location number one. Yeah, good old factory presets. In my examples so far concerning recording, you may have get the impression that I have to touch the play button when I want to do some live recording. This is not the case. I have to do so when I don't want the live recording to start at step one. If I don't mind starting at step one, I simply press the record button. So now let's say the recording function is sharp, and when I start touching the keyboard, then the recording starts. Of course, it starts at place one in the sequence, so I can't start with a first step of silence this way, which, especially in chains, may be sometimes wanted. Then I have to, if I want to do some live recording, I have to press play and then start recording. So now no play is pressed, only it's the recording function is sharp, it's blinking, and it starts recording at once when I touch any key. Oh, I should, of course, once again, I always forget this. I should erase everything, otherwise it's a little chaos. So once again, waiting, and then yeah, all right. The other way, or another thing I want to tell you is that a note can be longer than just one step. I just simply have to put my finger for a longer time on the keyboard. Let me erase the memory location and do so. Now, please watch these LEDs. I want a note to start at the beginning, at first step, at step number 1, and last for 8 steps. So I try to hold I use my thumb, I think, then you can see the lights running. So sharp. So let's control. Yeah. So the interesting thing now is what happens when I override certain places, certain steps here, and let me do this. Now I don't want to start with step 1, so I have to activate play and then and now you see I start with a long note, then at step 3 I override, but I don't leave my finger long enough to override the rest, so the sequencer returns to the first note. All right. Another thing I want to show you concerns the clock. And with the clock, it concerns live recording as well. I told you about my problems. Some of you may have problems as well. Not only, but also because of this strange keyboard. But all right. The range of the clock by default is from 56 to 240 beats per minute. But I can change it. I can change it to a range of from 10 beats per minute up to 600 beats per minute. To do so, I have to change a global parameter. I'll talk about global parameters in the next video, but I'll show you how to change this one. I have to switch off, at first perhaps the range as it is by default, up to, down to 56. All right. I switch the machine off and then on again, but I switch it on while holding the function button. And then active step and step recording are blinking. And now I make the change of concerning the global parameter. The global parameter which I want to change is the range of the clock, and this is just touching key number 5 and pressing record to save this change. And now let's listen how slowly 10 beats per minute are. Yes, and how fast 600 beats per minute are. All right, stop. But let me return to the default clock range. So switch it off, switch it on, just to control. It is still as I have started. So switching off the machine, switching off a sec. Yeah, okay. Holding function, pressing and holding function, switching it on. Once again, touching key number 5 and storing. And now I'm at the default setting again. With the combination function and key 5, I can tune the Volca Modular 1 octave down, and with function and key 6, I can tune it 1 octave up. So let me play C. function and 5, function and 6, I'm at the default tuning again, function and 6 again, I'm 1 octave up. And I can do this even while I'm recording, so let me at first erase what eventually is in the memory. And I started first with step recording, and function and step are blinking, but it doesn't matter when I change the octave using the function button, the function. Yeah, okay, so the function button, it doesn't disturb the recording. So let's stay with this C. First 3 steps, function and 5, step 4, 5 and 6, function and 6 up, so normal tuning, 6, 7, 8, 9, function and 1 octave up, 10, 11 and 12, and the last 4 steps I leave alone. So let's listen to it. Yeah, you see, it's possible. And we can do this even while live recording, with all the difficulties that live recording brings with it. So I start with the first step, step 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now I function and step 5 and push step 5, doesn't disturb. And go up 1 octave and 1 octave. All right. You see, pushing the function button to change the octave during recording doesn't disturb the recording process. 2 different sequencer modes are available. One is the mode bounce and one is the mode stochastic. Let's at first talk about bounce. Bounce means that when the sequencer has reached from his way from step 1 to step 16, it plays simply backwards. I reach this by pressing function and holding it and touching key number 11. There is even written bounce, and we see the LED is lit here, and so we are in bounce mode. Let me demonstrate. Yeah, and backwards, and so on and so on. Okay, let me switch it off. And stochastic is a little bit more interesting. Well, it's far more interesting. The stochastic mode switches on randomness. It's randomness to the proceeding of the sequencer. The randomness is somewhat limited to a sensible amount. Means at each step, the sequencer decides randomly whether it repeats the step or whether it goes one step back, or whether it goes one step to the right, one step forward, or whether it goes 2 steps to the right, skipping one step, skipping the next step. So, for example, from 8, once again 8, or from 8 to 7, or from 8 to 9, or from 8 to 10, skipping 9. So let me switch on this stochastic mode. Once again, function and 10, this time it's a key number 12. And let's listen. And you see it's always different. Let me choose another sequence. I don't know, let's say 4. And we see that the mode I have chosen changes back to default. Now I'm in default mode. Let me switch on stochastic. Switch it off. Switch it off. Okay. And once again, it's the same with bounce mode. Let me enter bounce mode. In the moment when I change the sequence, when I change the memory location, bounce mode as well as stochastic mode switches back to default. So I now choose, for example, location 1, and you see no bounce mode anymore. Now something else. You may have noticed that the LED, let me stop the sequence, the LED at or below key number 13 is most of the times it is lit. And this is because by default a mode called motion sequence recording is switched on, is active. And this mode means that I can not only record notes here on the keyboard, which I'm not going to do now because the sequence is okay for me, which is stored at the moment there. But I can also record the movement of the knobs here. So let's do it. Let me do it. Let's start. As long as I don't do anything, of course, nothing is overwritten. And now I start. You see and hear that inserting some space into the sequence is stored in the sequence. It's recorded, it's not yet stored. When I store it with memory and write, then it would be stored. But I don't do this because what I want, let me switch it off, what I want is something else. I don't like this, and now I can clear everything what I have recorded concerning the knobs, not the notes. So function and 14, key number 14, clears the recording aspect of the knob motions, but doesn't change the notes. And so I can do something else. For example, I can increase attack until I don't hear anything. Let me demonstrate something else. First, the fact that the record function switches off automatically after 16 steps after I have firstly turned any knob while recording it. And these 16 steps count from the step on where I start turning the knobs, not from step 1. So it's not always from 1 to 16. It may be from 8 to 8, from 9 to 9, or something like that. Let me show it. Now I start turning a knob here at about step 8. And now look what happens. Once again, let me clear this. Nothing, I haven't done nothing. And it switches off after 16 steps. Another thing is that, of course, let me switch record on, I can add movements to records to it. For example, no, with this hand. Now I have, and it switches off again. Now, and I have in 2 phases, I have recorded at first different folds and then different amounts of room. And I can continue adding and adding and adding and adding. let me talk about the scale function. What this function does is excluding all notes which are not part of a certain scale from the keyboard. They simply vanish. Consecutive keys or steps on the keyboard are consecutive notes of the scale. The keyboard doesn't represent the classic C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, F, and so on pattern anymore. The bass note of the chosen scale, called the tonic, is at key number 4. The Volca Modular offers 14 different scales. To choose one of them, I have to press and hold the function button and touch key 1. I'm in scale mode then. I'll show you in a moment. But some words about the scales themselves first. The scales are described by their typical succession of halftones. For example, from C to C sharp is one halftone, same as from E to F. All directly adjacent keys on a classic keyboard differ by one halftone. Well, let's go for it. I press the function button, hold it, and touch key number 1. And I'm in scale mode now, as I see by the blinking LED. The currently chosen scale is indicated by a slowly blinking LED, and it's the LED below key number 3, telling me it's the classic keyboard tuning with adjacent keys, with all adjacent keys being apart from each other by exactly one halftone. The name of the scales which I can choose are written here below. The keyboard, chroma, that's the actual one, major, minor, Phrygian, Japanese, major penta, kind of blues scale, and so on and so on. Well, I choose one, let's say Japanese. It's blinking, function, and now I'm in Japanese mode. All right. Now, you might not necessarily know the meaning of all these names of the scales, and a sonic, let's say, preview may help. So I enter the scale mode again, function and key 1, and I start the sequencer running. So he plays the scale which is actually chosen, Japanese. You see here the LED is blinking, and now I can preview, for example, what about Dorian? Yeah, okay. Or minor penta. Or, for example, what do we have? Phrygian, exotic. Exotic sounds interesting, so exotic 1. All right. And now pressing the function button again. Let me choose this exotic 1. But no, I won't. I choose minor penta. Stop the sequencer. And now, just by sliding my finger across the keyboard, I can improvise some melody. Important to know is that the tonic, so the bass note of the scale, is always at key number 4. So let me improvise. Simple enough. All right, after switching the machine off and on again, we are in default mode, and the default scale is our classical chromatic scale, which each adjacent key being apart from the next one by just one halftone. So the classic situation again. I mentioned the tonic, the bass note of a scale, some minutes ago, when I said that the tonic is always on key 4 here. Well, there's a bit more to tell about the tonic. By default, it's the note C, which you find here at key number 4, no matter which scale you have chosen, but we can change that. Well, we can change that with a combination touching and holding the function key and pressing and holding the function key and touching key number 2. And then we change, by doing so, we change into a mode which allows us to choose the tonic differently from C, for example. And by changing this note, by changing the tonic, the bass note of the scale, then we transpose the whole keyboard by doing so. Before I do it, before I show it here, I'd like to talk about the consequences using the example of our classic major scale, which is the Volca Modular on by default. As I told you sometimes, or some minutes, not sometimes, some minutes ago, a scale is defined by its typical succession of intervals, each of which containing a certain amount of halftone steps. When I want to transpose a scale on a conventional piano keyboard from a C major to another scale, I'll have to use not only the white keys, but also the black ones on this conventional keyboard. The graphic shows the example of C major and A major. Well, but when I change the Volca Modular's tonic from C to A, I don't have to bother about which black keys, which are irritating enough, the white keys on this machine here, I have to use to stay in A major, because the machine tunes all its red keys, which represent the white keys on a conventional keyboard. I will never get used to that. Never. Sorry. Well, so the Volca transposes the keyboard in that way that all red keys represent the whole A major scale, beginning with key number 4. Let me demonstrate this. At first, I play the A major scale on the keyboard as it is by default, with the note C as the tonic at key 4. But to play the major scale of A major, I start with A, which lies on key number 1. And so it's A. Oh, I have to take my headphones, otherwise I don't hear what I'm playing. So, yes, okay. So it's A, it's B, it's C sharp, it's D, it's E, and F sharp, and G sharp, and A again. So, and now I change the tonic to A. So, function, pressing and holding, touching key number 2, and then I can choose the tonic. I choose the note A, and to do so I have to touch the key number 13, pressing function to approve. And now I can play the A major scale using only the red ones. It will be 1 octave up. Yeah, you see this was the last note I have played. I played a minute ago, or a second ago. It's now the same as this one. So I transpose the whole thing, the whole keyboard, 1 octave down to get completely the same tune as before. So down. And now let me play only the red keys. A major scale. Here we are. The next matter to talk about is microtuning. And again, before demonstrating the mere technique, I'd like to say some words about the meaning of microtuning. We all are used to our mainly Western kind of tuning with 1 octave divided into 12 equal intervals called half tones. There isn't anything between, for example, C and C sharp, or C and B, or E and E flat, and so on. The width of a half tone step is defined as 100 cents. An octave encompasses 1200 cents, therefore. But why not divide an octave, for example, into only 5 steps instead of 12? 5 equal steps, each spanning a range of 240 cents. How would we have to do that? Let me start with C as the first note, the bass note, the tonic of my new scale. The next note would have to be a bit lower than in the middle between D and D sharp or E flat. I would tune D by 40 cents higher than usual. Therefore, note number 3 would be F tuned down by 20 cents, 480 cents above our C. Then comes a note between G and G sharp. I'd tune G up this time by 20 cents. And after this, let's say not completely sharp G, comes A, tuned up by 60 cents. And the last note is C again, C as it is in our classic scale. You are completely free to construct your own scales with microtuning, but it will take some effort to find scales that satisfy your musical taste in an artful way, being more than just extravagant. Listening to some works of FX Twin, for example, may help you finding your way. He instrumentalizes microtonal scales quite often and has even invented some of the scales the Korg Modular synthesizer is shipped with. Let's get practical now. To enter the microtonal edit mode, I press and hold the function key, the function button, sorry, and touch key number 3 on the keyboard. Let me do so. So function, touch number 3, it's blinking, and the function key is still blinking. I'm in microtuning edit mode now. The tuning itself happens by turning the amount microtune knob here while touching and holding this key, which I want to tune individually. Let me use key number C. So I touch key number C. When I'm done with this, I can take the next key. Let's see C sharp. And the next key, let's say D. And when I'm satisfied with what I have, I approve by pressing function key again. So let's listen which strange tuning I have got. Okay, after tuning all keys, which I want to change, which I have done by now, I press the function button again, don't forget it, to approve my changes. And now, if I want to preserve them, I have to write the actual status in a memory location of my choice, as I did before with the scales. But let me clear the microtunings again by using function and key 4. And so I have my old common tuning, 12 half-tone tuning back again. I want to show you another way to do the tuning, because I prefer it when the note I have to tune or I'm tuning is very short, but it comes repeatedly. And therefore, I use the following technique or trick. It's my personal one. I go to active step mode and deactivate all steps but for the one I want to tune. Go to, then of course, to edit the micro tuning and tip the note I want to tune and start the sequencer. And now I tune. Or higher. I find it more easy to find the right tune, the right micro tune, the micro tuning this way. The range of this key, or of this knob, not of this key, of course. The range of micro tuning per note is minus 100 cent to plus 100 cent, and this means that, for example, I can tune the note C up by 100 cent and approve, and then I do the same. I make it faster now. I go to note number C sharp, once again, edit, enter the microtuning edit note, holding C sharp. I can do this because I don't want an exact tuning. I just detune this D sharp by 100 cent and approve. So what have I done? I have tuned the note number C up by 100 cent. 100 cent is one half tone, so note number C has now the frequency of the former C sharp, and I have tuned the C sharp down by 100 cent and having now a frequency of the former C, meaning when I come from the left side of the keyboard, it goes up and then down again, just to demonstrate the scale or the range of 100 cents. But I clear microtuning again. Yeah, function, and key number 4 clears it again. Let me make something clear. As I showed you 2 times, I think, by now, that I can clear all microtunings and return to the original scale by function and key number 4. But I can do this even when I have reloaded micro-tuned scale. I might have constructed one, and I have. I will show you in a minute. Might have constructed one, and I switch the machine off, and I switch the machine on after a while, and then I load my constructed micro-tuned scale into the machine by memory and touching the corresponding key. And even then, when I push the function and key number 4, this scale returns to the classical tuning. So all micro-tunings are cleared. But as long as I don't save it again, write it in the same memory place again, it's still preserved, of course, next time when I reload the same memory location. It's still the micro-tuned scale. Only when I have written it into the same memory location after clearing, it is gone forever. But let me finish the matter of microtonality, at least for today, with a little example how interesting a sequence in microtonal scales can sound. I have it here in memory location number 15. All right. There are three random functions implemented in the Volca modular. One to randomize the pitch of a step. This function is activated here with key 7. Here. One to randomize the pattern of activated and deactivated steps. This function is activated with key number 8 here. And one function to randomize the micro-tuning of each step. And this function is activated with key number 9 here. So pressing and holding the function button and touching one of the keys 7, 8, and 9 initiates a one-shot randomization process. What do I mean with the term one-shot? One-shot randomization means after randomizing the corresponding parameters, the such gained values by randomizing, pitch or active steps or microtuning don't change anymore, no matter how often the sequence is repeated. They don't change until I press a random key again. Then I get new values, a new randomized pattern, which will stay the same until I press the random key the next time. And we see this is exactly the difference to stochastic mode, which we talked about, or which I talked about earlier in this video. With an activated stochastic mode, here is key number 12, each step changes randomly within the borders, which I have mentioned earlier in this video, each time the sequence is repeated. So we have always a new pattern, a new randomness with stochastic mode. So let me deactivate 12 steps and leave only 4 to demonstrate that. So active step, and let's say 1, 2, 3. Let's no, these I want these 4 ones. Yeah. So that's not that nice. Okay, let it be okay. Stop. So now I change to stochastic mode, function key and number 12. Oh, and you see, and we see, and we hear that each time the 4-step sequence is repeated, we get a randomly chosen different pattern of pitches. Now I switch stochastic mode off, and now we have the original pattern. And now I press and hold function and randomize the pitch. You see, once changed and then no changes anymore, until I again press the randomization of the pitch by using key 7 once again. I can do both, of course. I can switch on the stochastic mode, now changing the pitch with each repetition, and additionally I can randomize. I can, especially when I have longer sequences, this might be a useful thing to do, randomize, one-shot randomization during a sequence running in stochastic mode. All right. Another way of randomization is randomizing the active step. At the moment, as you have seen, I have, let me switch to active step. You see only 4 steps are active. And now I press and hold function, touch key number 8, and let's now look which steps are active. 1 step more and 1 step above. Once again. active step. And let's now look. There are different steps active now. And the last time, perhaps. 8, active step. Once again, different ones. I switch off the stochastic mode. The last thing which I can randomize is the microtuning. I activate now all steps again. Some missing, yeah, here and here. All right. So, and at first our normal, but for the randomized keys here, I will talk about this a little bit later. Normal chromatic scale otherwise. And now I function and holding it. I touch key number 9, microtuning, and now I have a different microtuning. Here it was nicely to be heard. And once again, key number 9, and the microtuning changes again. And let's say active step. Sorry. And now let's say I randomize the active step. What do I have? Oh, only one missing. That's not that much of a randomization. Let me do it again. Active step. Some more missing, okay. And additionally, I want to randomize the pitch. So I have randomized all 3 parameters, pitch, named note here, active step, and microtuning. One thing is important, let me stop it. One thing is very important to be aware of, and this is the fact that there is no undo function concerning randomization. So, meaning when you have got a nice sequence, without randomization, you have set up a nice sequence you want to save or you want to eventually use later in later productions, then before starting with your first randomization, write it into a memory location. Otherwise, your sequence will be gone. So writing it into a memory location and then starting randomizing. And then when you come by applying randomization, diverse kinds of randomization, when you come upon something you like, of course, store it, write it in a memory place, memory location again, before you continue touching one of these randomizing keys while holding function. The only way to get rid of this randomization, the only way to get rid of it is just switching the machine off and switching the machine on again, losing everything which is not stored in your memory, including a nice sequence you might have set up before starting randomization. Well, only 2 things are left to mention today. The 3 clear keys over here and the gate function. Let me start with the clear keys. I can clear what is erase 3 aspects of my working with the Volca Modular. First, the recorded motions. So let me first switch the machine on and let me record something. Oh, my lamp is falling down. I want to light these 3 erase keys. But it seems the stand is not that stable. Okay. Yeah. Let me at first record something, including some key motions, but faster. All right. Yeah. And now a key motion. key knob motion. And perhaps a little bit more of fold, or a little bit less of fold. But I should record it. All right. Yes. And now I want to get rid of the effects caused by the knobs, and so I press the function button and key number 14. And all knob motions are gone, but my sequence is sustained. Well, but when I say, oh, it's a pity, my knob motions were such nice, I want them back, no problem. Function and holding it, and step for key 14 again, and here they are. Now they are back. Now they are back. They are the motion recording is revived again. Now it's gone. And now it's back again. So with function and key number 14, I can switch to and fro between the states with and without motion recording. So I switch it, I clear it. The next thing, let me stop it. The next thing I can erase is active step. So is the choice I have made, the choice of activated and deactivated steps, pressing and holding the function button and touching key 15 this time reactivates all 16 steps again. Let me at first deactivate some of them. Let's say these ones. And function and active step, key number 15, revives them all again. I can control this. All are there. And I will really remove this extra lamp. That's terrible. It's always falling down. Yeah, you will see keys number 14, 15, and 16, even without this extra lamp. So where I am. Okay, yes, so now I have all steps activated again. And once again, function and erase active step. Let's have a look. Yeah, the formerly chosen pattern is back again. And no, and while, because it's so nice, let me erase it again. Yes, all steps are active. And clear it again. And regain, sorry, but that's 15. And regain it again. All right, so, and once again, as you see, I can switch between the chosen active, deactive step pattern and the original, meaning all steps are activated. I will erase it. Yes, I will erase everything. I will erase the knob motion and the chosen active step pattern. Yeah, all right. The third thing I can erase is everything. So even the notes, even the pitch, even what I have recorded in the single steps. Let me do so. It's a function button and pressing and holding the function button and pressing key number 16, touching key number 16, where is even written all. And now there is silence all over the place. But I can regain it again, like with all two other clear functions. Once again, function and sticks. So step 16, and it's back again. And it's erased, but not forever, and it's back again. The very last function today shall be the gate function, here at key number 10. this function, which I activate and deactivate by pressing and holding the function button and touching key number 10. With this function, I can switch between a short and a long gate signal. Let me turn the release knob completely down and start the default sequence at memory location number 1. Oh no, I have not switched the machine on and off. Doesn't matter, it's okay. So I have the last sequence I have composed. Yes, so my playing on the I turned the release knob completely down and start the sequence and activate the long gate function. I switch the gate from normal or short to long. Yeah. Short, long. My playing of the keyboard, let me stop this wonderful sequence. My playing on the keyboard without any sequence running is not touched by this function, however. Let me demonstrate this. Wow, terrible keyboard. And now long. The LED is lit, and so I have a long gate, but the length of the note depends on how long my finger rests on one of these tiny, terribly colored keys, and not on on the fact whether the gate function is switched to long, as it is now, or to short. Yeah, all right, done. Hotovo, fertig, ja está. In the next video, I'm going to talk about the global parameters, about how to update the firmware, and about how you can find out which version of the firmware your machine is running at, actually, and about the modules Woggle, sequences for patching, this here, split, and utility. Thank you for watching and enjoy your day. Stop. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to click on the bell symbol after subscribing. And yes, and send me some money. Send me some money by clicking on the donate link below in the descriptions to feed my hungry grandchildren. Shup shup. That is Czech, and I won't tell you what it means. Again, enjoy your day. Rolf.